Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
I'm Sam and I'm a
And
non-gamer.
we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Museum Suspects by Blue Orange Games.
Museum Suspects is a Phil Walker Harding game, so you know it's probably going to be good. With this game, you are going to be deducing who might have stolen something from the museum. And the catch is, there may be nobody that is left still being a viable suspect because they've already exited the museum, or you might have more than one. There's a lot kind of going on with this particular game. A lot of deduction at play in this. Let us show you how it works down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have Museum Suspects on the table here. Let me show you guys how this deduction game with some bluffing and betting elements at play, how this game works. And with this game, you're going to have several different suspect tiles. As you can see, we have a 4x4 grid set up here with the suspects, but you have more suspects than that. You actually have 24 different suspects, but you're only going to use 16. And so the ones that aren't included, you're going to set aside. You're not going to take a look at those. And you will have the 4x4 grid here, along with some clue cards. You've got 8 of those, 4 on each side here. Now you have lots of other clue cards, and the clue cards are going to come in 8 different categories, and you're going to shuffle each category up individually and select one at random. And then with the ones you select from each of the 8 piles, you're going to shuffle those up and assign randomly to these different spots here. So the different categories that you have: what color shirt was the suspect wearing? Were they wearing anything, any kind of accessories? What about the background of their picture? What does that look like? What row they might have been in, or what column they might have been in, or segment on the 4x4 grid. You're going to have, are they wearing a hat? What type of hat might they be wearing? And then lastly, what type of skin? As you can see, I only have 3 of each of these. That's because I already have the 4th from each set out here on the board. You also have some tokens in the different player colors here, and little chip tokens here to designate which player is which. The ABC just indicates if you're playing with a 2-player game, you're going to include the yellow and pink player pieces. 3 players, you'd include green, and 4 players, you'd include the blue player. Now, the different tokens that you have for each player, you're going to have 12 of them, and they are going to be numbered 1 through 6. You're going to have 2 of each one, so 2 1s, 2 2s, so on and so forth. You also have a notebook here that you are going to be keeping track of what you discover throughout the course of the game, and a little nice pencil to use to write in your notebook. So, how does this game work? Well, on a player's turn, you are going to look at any one of the 8 clues provided to you. This game plays out over 6 rounds, so you're not going to be able to see all 8 clues. But hopefully, looking at these clues will provide you enough details to narrow in on who might be the suspect, if there are more than one suspect, or if there are no suspects. That's right, because the suspect may have already escaped and gotten away. So what's going to happen? You're going to choose one of the 8 clues to look at. Now, if there are no tokens on top of that clue, you can look at that clue freely. However, if there is another token on the clue already, which will happen as the game progresses, you will have to put a token of your own that is higher than the token that is on that card. So in that case, I can play my 3 here because 3 is higher than 2, and then I could look at this clue. So looking at the clue, I take a look at it, and the clue is going to tell me a little bit of what suspects I can eliminate. So here I can see that I can eliminate all the suspects in the 3rd column. Now, obviously, I'm looking at this in secret, not letting other players see it. And I will go ahead and mark that on my notebook here. So I have my notebook, and I know that I have seen this one right here, so I can mark that out, because I know that that is telling me that none of these suspects can be the culprit. And so now I need to try to narrow in on the other ones that are available to me, the other 12. And I would then place my token on the card like I showed you, and then I would have to place another token, and I can assign any token preferably a low one at the beginning of the game because I'm not exactly sure who the suspect is, but I assign one token to any one suspect out here that I think could be the culprit. And so I maybe put this one token here on Joe. And if Joe happens to be the culprit or one of the culprits at the end of the game, then I will get 1 point because Joe was correct. Now, if I had put a 5, let's say, on Joe, then I would have gotten 5 points instead of 1 point. And you can have more than one token on the same suspect at the end of the game if I'm for certain Joe actually is the culprit. Now, later on in the game, I might soon discover that there are no viable suspects left because I have eliminated all the suspects. Say, for instance, I see this card later on, and that would tell me that all of these suspects can be eliminated. And then maybe I see something that tells me, well, they can't have a yellow background, and that helps me to eliminate some more suspects. And anyhow, at some point or another, I've eliminated all the suspects. And if that happens, when I'm assigning a token out here, I don't want to put it on any person out here because I know they cannot be the culprit and it would just be wasting my token. So instead, I can put that token here on the exit tile. This exit tile indicates that I believe there is no remaining suspects left. All of these can be acquitted and the culprit has gotten away. They've gotten away with the crime, and so I'm going to put it on the exit tile over here. And if that happens to be true, obviously, then I would cash in on my bets. Now, this continues for 6 rounds. Again, players will be placing tokens out on cards, looking at suspects or clues to eliminate suspects, putting tokens out on suspects or the exit card. And then after 6 rounds, you'll reveal your notes. You'll determine who could be the possible culprit. You'll award points. And if it happens to be that there are more than one culprit, the scoring works out a little bit differently. So, for instance, let's say Gabby and Joe happen to be the shared culprits here. Not only would I receive 6 points for correctly saying Gabby was the suspect, but I would also get 5 points for Joe here, and I would get 1 additional point for identifying both of them as correct suspects or culprits. I would get 1 point for identifying Gabby and 1 point for identifying Joe. So all in all, I'd get 11 plus 1 bonus point and another bonus point. I would get 13 points. Now let's say that Ben also was a culprit, but I didn't have a token on him. I would not get any points for identifying Ben, obviously. I would not get a bonus point for having a token on him. My score would still be 13, but other people might have tokens on all 3 of those, and they might get more points than me because they identified Ben as well as Joe and Gabby. Hopefully that makes sense to you there on how multiple suspects would work. Anyhow, add up your points, determine who has the most, and that is the winner, and that is how you play Museum Suspects. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Museum Suspects from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, first impression, seeing this out on the table, what'd you think?
It looks like a matching game.
It kind of does, yeah, with the cards face down in a grid, yeah a little bit.
And they look kind of similar with different characters.
Yeah. And I can see where you're coming out with that.
That's what was my first thought.
But it's not a matching game, thank goodness, because this is so much better than a matching game, or at least I think. What was your experience like playing this game?
I thought it was fun. It's a very simple game. It is, I don't want to say watered down because it's not so simple. It's just a different variety of like clue.
Okay.
You know, you need to find the person, the place, you know, you need to cross out what they were wearing. It's kind of like Guess Who, a little bit. Guess Who meets Clue.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It is. You know, these are simple deduction games, Guess Who and Clue. And you're trying to get clues to narrow in on who this person is. But what this game does that Clue doesn't do is it packs it into a 10 to 20 minute experience that feels like such a more fuller experience.
Yeah, you feel like you're
Clue
really, there's the background of it. Why are you finding this person? What did they do? Instead of just guessing a random person
Yeah.
and you have no background on them.
Right. And you're not only trying to deduce, but you have these tokens that you're putting out on the actual suspects that ultimately give you points once the culprit is revealed. And so there's a little bit of a it's not a push your luck, and it's not necessarily, I guess it's a bidding type of experience with this, because I don't know for certain when I put this token out that it's going to be this person, but I'm using my deducing skills and the clues that I know to say, well, it could be this person, and so I'm going to put a token on them, and I'm more confident that it's them than this person over here. Yeah. It's that kind of experience, and I like that. I don't know that I've experienced that type of mechanic thrown into a whodunit type of game, and I think it works great. I don't know why that hasn't happened before. Maybe it has, and I'm just not aware of it. But let's talk about the ease of gameplay with this particular game. What was that like for you?
It was very easy to play. It was very easy to understand. Not to say it was too easy, because there is, you could still be wrong. You could still lose. But it was very easy to understand. There's no questions when you're playing it.
Oh, you're definitely going to have it be that you're not all of your tokens are going to be correct, because you're going to be putting out tokens before you know enough to know for certain who it is.
Yeah.
And you may never get to the point where you have enough clues to know for certain who it is. You might get to a point where it's still like, well, I think it could be this person here, but it could be this person here. And so you got to play that to the best of your abilities.
Yeah.
So it's never so straightforward and simple that you feel like I had this figured out a long time ago and it's gotten boring, it's gotten stale. I didn't experience that with this game. Still enough was up in the air to make it all feel, oh man, I don't know what's going to happen until the very last card flipped over.
Yeah.
So kept me excited and interested in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Same for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our pros and cons on Museum Suspects. So Sam, for you, what sticks out to you in a great way being a non-gamer?
I thought the artwork was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It definitely catches your eye. It's easy to understand. It's quick to play. It's just overall a good game for a non-gamer.
And back to the artwork, I think you're right. It has this, anamorphic, these animals that are people type of artwork, and that doesn't always work for me. And sometimes it kind of feels too weird and wonky. You don't have that.
But this is cartoon enough.
Well, yes, and it plays a factor in the deduction element too, because do they have a hat on, or are they
tentacles?
Wearing, right? Yeah, exactly. Do they have a scarf on?
So when you add the animal and the person together, it gives you more factors to look at.
It plays a bigger role in the actual gameplay, so yeah, it works.
Yeah.
You mentioned ease of play. I think the fact that it is so easy and yet it is still a heavily deduction game, that doesn't always work so well. One of my favorite deduction games is Mystery of the Abbey, and another big one, Awkward Guests. Both of those games, they're kind of rules heavy. They have a lot of things going on, especially Awkward Guests.
It's not, it's a major steps above Clue or Guess Who, but it has less rules, so it's less explaining. It's easier for more people to really join in on without sitting down and saying, oh, well, this is going to be an hour.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Anything about it that doesn't work for you?
I mean, there's nothing that I can really say straight away. I think that this could be a longer game. I think they could have added another row, another column of people. And I don't think that would make it bad. I mean, 20 minutes, I could have played this for 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah, I will agree with that. It almost feels like it's too short.
Yeah, it's over right as it gets started.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, Sam. I think I would have enjoyed maybe a bigger challenge. Not saying that there's ever a point where I feel like I've got it figured out.
Yeah.
But I would like it to just be lengthened a little bit more, because it's such an enjoyable experience. Yeah. All right, let's get to our scores for Museum Suspects. I'm going to go first, if that's all right. I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was a great experience. In fact, I would be hard-pressed to say that there's not a better deduction game in 30 minutes or less than this game right here. This may be my favorite short
Yeah.
in time frame deduction game. It just works well for me. I'm gonna give it an 8.4. I really enjoy this game. Yeah.
I'd probably give it a 7.8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any reason?
No, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a one-trick pony. It is,
Okay.
this is what you're doing, this is what you're finding. I don't know if it's something you're going to want to play over and over again,
Okay.
maybe depending on the company, but I think that's the only reason. It does what it's supposed to do, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a big home run experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that for sure. Well, there you have it. That's our thoughts on Museum Suspects. It is from Phil Walker Harding and Blue Orange Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think of this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.